What have you learned about men from doing this kind of work?
All men are paying for pussy in one way, shape, and or form. You're gonna pay for it, whether it's taking a bitch to dinner or taking, buying her whatever. Bitches want things. They have desires, and you want us.
All right, Princess.
Yes.
Princess, where did you grow up? Where are you from originally?
Carnation, Washington.
Where's that?
It's near Seattle. It's like 45 minutes east of Seattle. It's a real small town.
And tell me about your family growing up.
My parents are still married, actually. They've been married for 41 years. They live in the house that I was born in still. Had I stayed, I would have graduated from high school with the same kids I went to kindergarten with. I played softball for 12 years with the same 9 girls. Real small town.
How was your childhood?
From the outside looking in, it was nice. Like, we had a house. Like, my mom worked for Medtronic. Well, back then it was Physio Control, Eli Lilly, and she retired from there. But my dad was a locksmith. They always worked and stuff. Had bought their own house, but like, my dad's a dick. Like, my dad was abusive, emotionally and physically. There's not a lot of my childhood that I actually remember. And when I suggested to my mom that I get hypnotized, she was like, "Oh no, Julia, don't do that." So I guess that they'd had an episode with my sister getting hypnotized, but there's some lost time there that I was thinking of, because like getting ready to do this to talk to you, I had been just like racking my brain trying to think about different things that I would maybe want to talk about or share with you, and I was just kind of tripping off like how much I don't remember about my childhood.
How old were you when you left home?
The first time, like 13, I think. I went back and forth a lot. It was hard. Like, I feel like I made the excuses for the men in my life my whole life. Like, oh, I'm almost sick to my stomach. I've only talked to this one other time about this ever. One other time, and that was with my mom, but the other day. And because my daughter ran away from home. But the word molested to me is such an ugly term, and I don't feel like it was molestation, but I know that it was. Like, I know that you're not going to be 14 and 15 years old, and a grown-ass 35-year-old man should not be sexually trying to like approach you at all, especially like people at your church or people who, your grandparents' friends who live next door. Like, I just always received the attention of men that I didn't really ask for, unsolicited attention. And with my dad being such a fucking douche, I just wanted any man to love me. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like the one leads to another.
Yeah.
It seems, and then it carries on your whole life.
Yeah.
And so eventually you got into sex work?
Yeah, most definitely. It was I was grown by the time it happened, though. I had lost my son when he was 9.5 months old.
Lost your son?
Yeah, when I was 20, he drowned at my sister's house.
Sorry.
Yeah, Joey pulled himself into the tub after my niece got out. But after that, I just kind of fell off. Like, I left Washington forever, came down to California. First time I came down here was with Wes and Monica, but when I came down here and stayed, I came down here with Mac Bone. He's my turnout folks. And it's crazy because the night before I met him, I'd actually turned my first date all by myself. But from the very beginning, I was crafty. I'm not one of them girls who was like laid on her back and just let tricks do whatever they want to me. And I won't say that I ever like outright robbed anybody, though. Like, I'm not gonna pull a gun on anybody, but if you leave and nothing happens, then that's between us. But I've definitely had some crazy situations with lots of tricks. But the first time that I ever turned a date, he gave me like $400 and got me a room and all this shit. And I told him that I couldn't even do it. I was just totally fucked up in the head. And I was, but I wasn't. It was a role, definitely a role. And the next day I met Bone. And he brought me down here.
You were how old?
I was like 21, 22. Yeah. Pretty old, actually, to get turned out in the game.
Most girls are teenagers.
Most, yeah, young girls. And it's funny because they've always called me a vet from the very beginning. They're like, oh, you a vet, you a vet. And like, I'm like, okay. I let them call me what they want, and I convinced them till they were convinced, and I convinced myself. But it's crazy. I could trick stories go on for days, but
What's your craziest trick story?
craziest trick or craziest trick story? Like, I had a trick who used to give me like $800 to wear stockings and talk about stepping on bugs. Like stepping on bugs. Like, have you ever stepped on a roach before? He'd ask me. And I'd be like, well, yeah, of course. He's like, well, how did it feel? How do you think it would feel if you didn't have any socks on, like between your toes and stuff? Like, was it more like a pop or a crunch? And I'm like, really? That's what you want to talk about? Well, I wear these stockings. That's what we're doing? And he's like, yeah. And he worked for, I probably shouldn't say, but I'm going to anyways. He worked for SpaceX. He used to fly his airplane to work every day from Catalina. And yeah, he was a weirdo. Wanted to talk about spiders and stuff like that. Well, I wore stockings.
What have you learned about men from doing this kind of work?
What haven't I learned about men? Like, I swear I should write a book. All men are tricks, not all men are victims. That's definitely what I've learned. It's okay to be a trick. It's not okay to be a victim. You know, the trick is all men are paying for pussy in one way, shape, and or form. You're gonna pay for it, whether it's taking a bitch to dinner or buying her whatever. Bitches want things. They have desires, and you want us. So don't listen to the new music. It's ridiculous. Prostitution's become so popular, it's not even cool anymore. Seriously, there's no money in it like there was. Like,
Do you regret getting into it?
absolutely. Like, I don't like the word regret because I really am not trying. I mean, if you want to talk about regrets, this could go forever. But like, I try to not have that over my heart. Like, I've made some bad decisions and stuff like that, but they were still my decisions, and I still have to live with them. So they were bad decisions. They weren't regrets because I don't know. Everything happened for a reason, I guess.
You were with your pimp for a long time.
No, actually, my turnout folks, I was not with for a long time. My turnout folks, he very quickly, I saw that he was a terrorist, and like, I tried to leave him, and he knocked me unconscious and shaved my head bald.
So this was a gang member pimp.
Oh yeah, I don't fuck with nothing but gang members. That's it. I don't know how that happened. I'm from a really small town. Like, woo, we had like 3 people that were black in my whole town. Like, I'm just being honest. And like, for me, all my children are mixed, like, except for my oldest. And I don't know. A black man, the first time I ever felt attractive, I was by a black man. I was teased my whole life growing up. Like, I always teased. I say I didn't always look like this, but I didn't always look like this. And so I was teased a lot. And I got called thick by a black man on a Greyhound one time. And I was like, I was ready to fight because I thought he was calling me fat. And he was like, whoa, no, thick is good, thick is good. And I don't know. I guess I like foreign men, generally speaking, not just black men, foreign men. But so my turnout folks, yeah, after that whole incident with the kidnapping and the shaving my head bald, I actually fucked with one other pimp after him. And that was I don't know how that happened, because I'm an asshole just by nature. And after my turnout folks shaved my head bald, I did the unthinkable and went renegade on Fig, because I just had to clown. Like, you can't faze me. You can't do it. I got rejects tattooed over his name on my ankle because I had his name on my ankle, and I hit Fig. And my turnout folks, he told the story about, or not my turnout folks, but the next folks I fucked with. He said he hit the corner with his pimp partner in the car, and his pimp partner was like, that's a bald-headed bitch. He's like, I'm flipping a U-turn on that bitch. He's like, man, that's a bald-headed bitch right there. And MP was like, that's $1 million bitch right there. and turned around and picked me up, bald head and all. But that didn't last long either. I was raised in an abusive home, and I have a hard time with men who put their hands on women. So.
But you're attracted to
gang members?
African American gang members.
Well, right, but I was with an African American gang member for 15 years, and the only time he ever laid a hand on me was when he was under the influence of drugs, and it was only one time. Like, I'm not making excuses for him. It didn't make it okay, and I didn't tolerate it then, but the guy who I spent 15 years off and on really with, he was a good man, really. We all make bad choices and stuff like that, but we just have to deal with the choices we make. I don't know. I could have probably made better choices. I don't even know anything else, though. I don't even know what it's like. I don't remember ever learning how to, go to work every day and, have a regular job. Nobody ever taught me nothing like that, even growing up at home. I don't know how my sister's a doctor. I don't know how she made it. I swear to God, I don't.
Your sister's a doctor?
Yeah, my sister's a doctor. She was a nurse. She got married right out of high school to a pastor, her youth pastor. And it was real traumatizing. It broke my heart to see, to look at my sister's wedding pictures, because my mom's whole face, just nose is red, cheeks are puffy, eyes are swollen, because he's 19 years older than her or something like that. But I get it, because Chucky was 19 years older than me, and we didn't really have a dad like that, not one that loved us.
How much do you think that played a role in where you're at today, or where your life took, where it led?
Probably a big part. I would definitely say a big part. All I ever wanted was my dad to be proud of me. Clearly, he's not now. But, yeah.
What kind of things have you learned by doing this kind of work? About men, mainly, is probably where I'm leading.
Men always telling themselves, I don't know, they're narcissistic. They're easier to please than everybody thinks. And all anybody really wants is just somebody to make them feel like they're wanted. Just like anybody.
They want companionship more than they want sex.
Right. A lot of the times, that used to be my gig. Because, like I said, I smoked crack for damn near 25 years, and I'd take a full pull and get to performing, and I had chicks who would, Alfie. Alfie was one of my favorites. Alfie's ass. His motherfucking ass. Every time, he'd do it every single time too, and it wouldn't matter. The ATM card, he'd give it to me, and I call it ass to mouth, because that's how I feel like I'm doing these tricks, when they give me the ATM card. I'm sorry. And
they give you the ATM card.
Yeah, and it's just now I'm fucking you in the ass and giving it to you in the mouth, because you should not have done that. Yeah, I got the code, I got the everything.
Because they like the abuse?
I guess a lot of men do. Yeah. I had a chick one time.
I've heard this a lot.
Who let me rob him 3 times in one day. Literally, the first time I met him was on the blade, and we went to my room, and my best friend knocked on the door. I was like, oh, you gotta go. And he had already given me the money, and I was like, I'll hit you back later. And he came back to my room, and he was like, hey, I have more money. And I was like, oh, okay, cool, come on. And then something else happened. I was like, you gotta go. And I got him again. And then he called me and was like, hey, can you come to me? And he gave me it was $300 more than it had originally been already given me.
How much did you take him for?
I got him $600 that day. But I literally went to his house after that and brought my homie with me. And he went up in the room with me, and he gave me the money.
But a lot of guys seem to be into getting taken by girls.
Yeah, it's weird. But Alfie was the best. Alfie'd give me, because he's had a lot of money. Alfie had a lot of money. He had me driving an Audi A8 and everything.
What do you think that's all about?
I don't know. Maybe mommy issues.
Something.
I don't know. Maybe they know they ain't shit. I don't have, the reason that I had to, because I fucking hate tricks, man. I don't have no respect for them. I don't. They're so gross and so not all of them, let's not get misconstrued. There are some tricks who are attractive, and there are some tricks who are good, decent people, but overall, they're douchebags. And anytime any trick is trying to save a hoe or save a bitch, he's not really trying to save a hoe or save a bitch. He's trying to get some in-house pussy that he thinks he doesn't have to pay for no more, and that he can control and do all that other extra shit. I left my daddy for doing that when I was 13. I left my last daddy very quickly too. I'm very much a free spirit, And that's crazy too, because I've recently got like into a relationship where I cut everything off now. That's kind of what happened.
So you're out of the game now.
Yeah, and now I'm out of the game.
Are you in love?
Yeah,
So you believe in love?
absolutely. Absolutely. Are you kidding me? There's no better feeling than being in love. It's a shitty feeling, but
No,
you know.
I would agree, but most of the girls that work the track, I don't think
Oh,
ever.
yeah.
I mean, they have a form of love that's very different
Yeah,
than
and
a squares love.
yeah, and I
Because like if you were in
see,
love with a girl and she was having sex with 17 other guys that night,
right. And it's funny because like
you wouldn't call that love.
Chucky and I, we were together for 15 years, and like he knew what I did, obviously, but like it was more like a partnership. Like Chucky would help me get these niggas, like, and you actually probably have heard about Chuck before, sorry, because our friend, that's the friend she talks about.
Right.
We were together forever, and she told me once, she said, I had to fuck with Chuck because you were with him for so long. I had to know what kept you your attention for so long. I had to know. And I was like, yeah, whatever, bitch. But Chuck, like, I don't know. He played the boyfriend role on so many different occasions where he's knocking on the door as soon as, you know, the trick's giving me the money. We had Swerve One. When the Nextels first came out, the Chirp Chirps, I would chirp in and be like, Swerve One, chirp chirp. And that meant that he knew exactly where I was going. And then Chuck and I, like, I don't know, like that was my dude. Like, I don't know. The reason I couldn't fuck with a pimp is because they have too many bitches. And when I go to work, when I hit the blade, that's my job. I don't pick these motherfuckers. I trust and believe that if I had my choice, I would not let any of them touch me. Like, I'm the girl that physically cringes when like tricks touch me. That's why I could never like, because I mean, I was like, I had the more than one offer to like, by very rich men to old men to let them take care of me. But for me, love is just genuine. I don't know, and I can't pretend to love somebody for some bread. Like, if you want to fuck, that's cool. We can do that. But like, all that getting to know me and all that, no, I don't do none of that with none of my tricks. It always goes left, like, always. I fucking hate them. But I've had tricks try to rob me. I've been raped. It's all happened. It doesn't take long for it to happen. It's part of the game.
You just get back at it.
Yeah, unfortunately. Unfortunately,
I
I was
mean,
raped
for
before I
most
was ever
people-
in the game, though. I was raped in my hometown when I was young.
Really?
Yeah, by some paisas. Yeah.
Before you started doing this
Before
kind
I
of
ever got into sex work. And then I actually had when I lost my virginity, it was a real bad experience for me too. I wasn't raped, but it was my best friend's brother, and then he lied, and it started rumors in school for me, and it just ruined my whole high school career. It was bad.
And I'm sure those events and maybe being molested as a child leaves the door
my
open
mom
for
told
this.
me that we're pretty sure that I got molested when my sister, because I told you my sister got hypnotized, so. And I became aware of my body sexually. I remember being aware of my body being able to give me pleasure at a very young age, disturbingly young age. So, but that's why my mom suggested I don't get hypnotized. She was like, oh no, don't do that. And I was like, whoa. Like, damn, I really wonder, what do you not want me to know?
Let's keep the truth in the closet.
Right, it's better there. Well, it's just like, yeah, it's funny because my daughter recently ran away. And with that, like, all the windows the glass house that they've been showing me and telling me about with my kids, because my sister has my kids. It's a rough story, but my sister has my kids, and they always try to make it seem some type of way where everything's just perfect and the kids are so happy, and then my 16-year-old hit me on Facebook. Not so much.
She ran away.
Not only did she run away, she doesn't want to live there. She doesn't want to be with them. She doesn't want them to adopt her. She doesn't want their last name. They've been pressing me for years since Chuck died, because I lost Chuck suddenly after. And let me tell you, I've lost like everybody in my life. My best friend, my husband, my child. Like, I buried a lot of people. And the person that you choose for 15 years of your life, that shit hits a different. Like, your partner, you have to wake up every day and choose to fuck with that person. You have to wake up every day and choose to, like, especially in the game, choose to hustle through and just get through it. And it's different.
takes a special type of woman to do
It
this
took
kind of work.
it took the like literally took the air out of me. And his family did me dirty. But you sidetracked me. I was saying that hoeing's like a job. So like if I have a boyfriend or I have my dude like Chuck, that's not, you can't consider that cheating. I have not picked any of them. Like when you go to work and you get paid for your job, are you cheating on me because your boss pays you for your time? Because a lot of times that's all I get paid for is my time. But that's why I'd be hard. Like unless she's another bitch who wants to get some bread, then you don't need to fuck with her. I mean, you can go fuck on whoever you want to, clearly, but don't bring that drama home unless she's got some money. But I'm in a monogamous relationship right now. It's kind of interesting.
Do you believe in monogamy?
Not at all. I don't think it's realistic.
Supposed to
I believe in it, but I don't think it's realistic.
Do you think we're supposed to? Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah, I think that it's easier for women to be monogamous than it is for men to be monogamous. But I don't at the same time. I think it's a choice with people, everybody. But I don't think it's realistic.
Yeah.
I don't. Shit happens.
Should prostitution be legalized?
I want to say yes, because it should be. But at the same time, like, I wouldn't want this for any of these. Like, if I can just save one girl for making the choices that I make, because this life is not for nobody. Like, I don't know if it's because I got into the game so late or what, but like, I don't like another man touching me, different men touching me. And that's probably why it's probably easier for me to talk about monogamy, like being realistic. I just learned a new term the other day. I didn't know what demisexual meant. And somebody had posted the other day, and it's somebody who cannot become sexually attracted to someone without having a deep emotional connection. I never knew that. Did you know that?
What's it called?
It's demisexual.
You can't become you can't.
No, that you can't become sexually attracted to someone unless there's an emotional connection, like a deep emotional connection.
Well, that's most people, I think.
Not necessarily. Then if that's the case, then why are all these men picking up hookers and fucking on them? You know,
right.
Like there's sexual attraction. Like for some people, it's easy to have sexual attraction with no love attached.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys.
Right. Whereas a demisexual is somebody who can't have sexual attraction unless there's an emotional connection.
Exactly.
Which is probably why it was so easy for me to just.
It's probably a lot of women and most men.
Yeah, like
Or a lot of men.
Yeah, right. Sex does not equate love to me. Like sex is like in a relationship with me, sex is like the lowest of my priorities. Like literally. I mean, of course it's important, but I'd rather have somebody who I can spend time with than fuck on. Like there's certain parts of my body I don't like touch now, just because they've been groped too many times. Like I had to stop or I was gonna hurt somebody, and it wasn't me. So.
How does doing this kind of work affect? How did it affect you emotionally?
How does it affect me? Because it still affects me.
Yeah, it still does. Yeah, I was going to correct myself.
It's going to always affect me, and I don't know how to answer that, to be honest with you. I don't know the long term, other than like, it's hard for me to find a rhythm. Like, I don't know how people get up every day and go to work. How the fuck do they do that? I don't know how to do that. I swear to God, the thought just like, how do people like...
Is it scary for you to like get out of the game and now you...
I don't even know what to do with myself. I swear to God. And like budgeting and all that, what is that? You want me to do what? I get bread every day. Oh, I don't get bread every day anymore. So now I'm broke and I'm struggling. And they still call and it's really hard. Like I have to block a lot of numbers. Like my trick that bailed me out of my first hell case still calls my phone. Like it's been a long time. That's 20 something years. 20 years. 20 years. And you still call my phone. And I bailed, flaked on that bail and everything. Like what the?
And your new guy was somebody you met?
Somebody that I met, like he was, and it's crazy because he was married for 17 years and his wife literally was like, don't come home. I'm pregnant by somebody else and I don't want to be with you anymore. And changed the locks on him, and they got like 6 kids together. And Like 17 years is a long time to be married. He tried to commit suicide like 3 times before I met him.
Was he a client?
No. He was a friend of a friend. I met him at they have these tap houses now.
Yeah.
And I met him in a tap, and he was in the corner with his hoodie on and his sunglasses.
Little gambling shack.
And like in the corner, but he's tonguing, and so he's just this big ass tonguing, and he's knocking everything out. Like it doesn't even matter. And I was like, who is that? And somebody introduced me, but then it was like everywhere I went, he was right there. And he was saying on the same shit, like, Bert, how are you here? I don't even know you knew these people. And it was like, whatever, I'm gone. And then like I'd pop up somewhere else and I'd be like, dude, how'd you beat me here? And it's been a struggle. Like, I guess I'm somebody who likes to fix people. I think I can fix people. My babies are all gone, and so they're here alive, but they just got taken from me, or I just really let them go to my family. My family made it real easy.
How many kids?
I've given birth to 6 babies. Yeah, 5 living.
Is it the drugs that kind of made that happen? Or the lifestyle?
A combination. Fear, a lot of it's fear. People have made it easy for me to just give up on a lot of shit in my life, you know? Like, I had my sister tried for a long time to have a baby, had like 14 miscarriages, and I gave her a son. And then I had my daughter, and I was in county on my way to prison when I had her. So my sister came and got her from when I had her in the county jail. By the time I came home, she was calling my sister mom. And like in your head, you tell yourself, well, they're better off, you know? They're with each other. They're with my sister. They're with my family. They get to see my mom, you know? And like I said, my sister's a doctor, so my kids have a really good life or whatever. And they just make it easy. And then they took my daughter, thanks to my sister and the man who I did 3 years in the penitentiary for. And then my own actions, of course.
Are you the black sheep of your family?
Oh, most definitely. By far.
Is that a DNA thing, or is it something that happened to you that didn't happen to your sisters?
Well, we all have different dads. I don't know if it's a DNA thing or not, but my mom got married 3 times before she married my dad. But my parents like talk about the same nuns from elementary school. They went to elementary school together. When you close their senior yearbook, their faces literally touch. Literally. But mom got married twice before she married my dad. She's married to like 3 years to her first husband, for like 6 to her next or something like that. She married my dad for 41 years. Yeah, Bob and Candy. She became Candy Cane when she married my dad. Because her name's Candace, but everybody always called her Candy. As soon as she married my dad, now everybody calls her Candace. But everybody gives her candy cane treats. Yeah. Whenever Christmas comes around, she has candy cane everything. So, yeah.
What's your biggest regret?
My babies. My babies.
That's every woman's.
Yeah.
Who's lost them.
But, you know, I still have time. My daughter, you know, she's been hitting me up. Like I said, that glass house shattered recently. And like, it's really crazy to me because, like, 2 weeks after Chuck died, my sister sent me an email asking me to sign over my parental rights because I still have my parental rights to Laura. She's the only kid I still have them to, but because they wanted to change her last name from Chuck's last name to their last name. Because Laura, at 10 years old, felt insecure about her last name being different. I thought it strange to myself at the time, like, what 10-year-old even thinks about something like that? I mean, honestly, unless somebody else is telling her to think like that. And they pressed me, and I keep telling them, oh yeah, send the papers. I let them pay me and everything to do it. They think that they can get me with their money. But to me, I know Chuck, and I would never disrespect him by just willingly giving away his daughter so that they can change her last name. She's the only legacy he has. And Chucky was my best friend. I wasn't even physically attracted to Chuck when I met Chuck. I happened to be like in the streets, hoeing, renegading, and then here was this Chuck, like somebody introduced me to him, and he was just like, there was Chuck when I needed a Chuck in my life. He sold dope. I just started smoking dope, at least crack, and the first time that man and I had sex, I laid there and hit the pipe watching the porno in the corner of the movie. It was I'll never forget it. It was in the corner above the closet at the Value Inn. And I just laid there to the point where he told me, he's like, look, if that's going to be what our sex life is like, I can't fuck with you. And, like I said a little while ago, sex to me is like the least motivating factor for me. But this is how I learned to perform. And it's hard to make me come. Like, I've had one person ever in my entire life make me come from intercourse, ever. And I don't know if it's because I was molested when I was young, they fucked me up, but like, it's hard to make me have an orgasm. And I don't have orgasms from intercourse, period. Like, I think the girls be lying when they say that they have orgasms from intercourse. They're like, yeah, right. And not that it doesn't feel good most of the time, but like,
I think a lot of women are built differently.
Yeah, I just think that maybe like my shit got fucked up or something. Who knows?
Who knows?
But I've never been able to have orgasms from intercourse. And so I think I can tell you damn near the longitude and latitude of the 2 orgasms that I had that I did not fake while I was with that man. And that man will tell you right, if he was here right now, that he could tell when I'm having an orgasm. Okay, honey. All fake. But I didn't like, there was a point where I was very much in love with Chuck. Like, you couldn't tell me, I thought he was the sexiest man on earth. But it wasn't because I thought he was attractive. It was like, Chuck really loved me. And like, I fell in love with Chuck because of how Chuck loved me. He was really my best friend. We really had a lot of fun together. I remember there was a time when he wouldn't play nothing but that fucking song by Beyonce, Dangerously in Love. We had a Land Rover at the time. And if I tell you that it's a beautiful song and I love the words and all that shit, but oh my God, if he played that song one more time, like it was on a repeat in the Rover all the time, Dangerously in Love. Like, come on, Chuck. Everybody knows that we're in love, okay? Let it go. But I'm glad I'm glad I had that person in my life through this, because I probably would be a lot more jaded and adverse to finding love than I am. I love being in love. Who doesn't? I mean, the heartbreak shit sucks. Everybody fights and shit.
A lot of people are afraid of it, though.
Yeah, but I'd rather, like, if I died tomorrow, I know that I've really been in love, and I know that I've really been loved. And so that's okay. Like, I feel bad for people who and it's crazy because like my true love is the person who makes my heart even now isn't the person I'm with, but it's not Chuck either. But like in the middle of like Chuck, I'm like 10 years into Chuck, I met this guy named Bear, and it was like, if I tell you that for 10 years, I don't care who you were, you could have been Kobe Bryant, I would have been like, what? I'm with Chuck. And then like, it was like I ran into this guy Bear, and I was like, Chuck, I know somebody named Chuck. Who's Chuck? Like, but unfortunately, like it kind of like fucked Chuck up. Like, because Bear, he got high too, and him and I proceeded to like terrorize the world. Like, I had more fun with Bear in that like 8 months than I've had with anybody in my life. And like, he ended up getting 51 years.
You like bad boys.
I do like bad boys. But like he got 5 years on the actual case and 41 years in enhancements, 46 years in enhancements. So hopefully he's coming home soon. But like, that's one thing that like, if I don't question, the Bear loved me for sure. Chucky did too. But for Chucky, it was like different. Like I said, like Chucky was like a steadfast, like solid, like I could have robbed Chuck and called him 10 minutes later and be like, Chuck, just, motherfucker just took all the money I just took from you, Chuck. And he'd be like, bitch, I'm gonna go kill him. And like, he always had my back. And like, but Bear, there was passion. Like it was a roller coaster. It was so much fun. I miss him so much to this day still. I talk to him when I can, and I send him money and stuff when I can. But yeah, he's solid, you know. Bear's a real gangster, and that's my real gangster.
You like gangsters?
I am a gangster.
You are a gangster.
Yeah. I hanging out in Inglewood, it happened. I eventually started gangbanging. Happens. I had a big old CK on all that shit on my leg. But
Princess, what do you say is the most important lesson you've learned in your life?
if you ever think you shouldn't do it, don't do it. I mean,
That's a good one.
like if you even like think like, whoa, should I? Then don't. And always go with your guts. I don't care what it is. And I don't know, like love yourself. Really. You can't do nothing if you don't have that. Like you have to love yourself or you can love anybody else even.
Nothing's gonna get off the ground.
Yeah, nothing's gonna happen. Nothing at all.
Yeah.
So.
All right, Princess, thank you so much for sharing your story.
Oh, thank you.
Very interesting.
Thanks.